I'm Max Darrow, and this is The Minute. In Sonoma County, evacuation orders along the Russian River have been downgraded to a warning. That means residents can now return home, but they should remain aware of the possibility of flooding. These are for low-lying areas, from unincorporated Healdsburg to Jenner. 2 deaths in Sonoma County are being blamed on heavy rain and flooding. First responders found a man's body in a culvert on Franz Valley Road in Calistoga Wednesday. Another man was found dead about 20 miles away early yesterday near floodwaters and near Hall Road in Santa Rosa. In Marin County, a dramatic rescue from dangerous floodwaters near Point Reyes. This happened on Tuesday on Platform Ridge Road, just east of Highway 1. A deputy was able to rescue a woman who was trapped in that sinking car as it filled with water. And the Bay Area's only primetime newscasts, weeknights at 8, 9 p.m. PIX Plus, 44 Cable 12. I'm Max Darrow, and this is The Minute.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, the rain is coming to an end as we head into this afternoon, but we're still expecting to see close to around 1/4 of an inch in areas like Oakland and San Francisco, while our friends up in the North Bay get closer to around 1/100 of an inch throughout this afternoon. Now, the flood watch near Marin and Sonoma County will expire this afternoon, but we're still seeing some lingering showers left closer to around 10, 11, 12 o'clock in areas like Mill Valley, all the way over into Oakland and sweeping off into the East Bay near Fremont and Livermore, just into the lunchtime and evening hours tonight. Now, that clears up into the overnight hours tonight, which is great news. We're going to see some dry days ahead of us for both Saturday and Sunday with sunny skies all throughout the Bay Area. But then we head into early next week. Around Monday and Tuesday, clouds start rolling in ahead of our next cold front that's going to sweep in from offshore, bringing in more rain for Wednesday and Thursday, and also dropping our temperatures down a little bit too. So let's head over into the next 7 days. Today, we're mostly just sitting in the upper 50s throughout the Bay Area, anywhere from Santa Rosa into San Francisco, Half Moon Bay, and down into the Santa Clara Valley. Now it's still partly cloudy for us this afternoon, but once we head into Saturday and Sunday, that much needed sunshine returns into the Bay Area just in time for a gorgeous weekend. You head into early next week. Now we're talking about the clouds rolling back in from offshore for Monday and Tuesday, with rain right around the corner for Wednesday. And notice how temperatures drop. I'll pull it up for our inland forecast in just a second. Temperatures drop from the upper 50s and lower 60s down to the low 50s as that cold front approaches as well. So it's going to be cool, it's going to be wet. It'll be a little bit breezy too as those winds sweep in from offshore. We'll continue to keep you updated with those rainfall totals as we get closer to next week's rain system.
The Bay Area has a reputation for its diversity and for welcoming immigrants from all over the world. And in some cases, it's laws that protect undocumented immigrants. Since 2017, California has been a sanctuary state, and cities across the Bay Area, like San Francisco, limit police officers from working with immigration enforcement agencies. But now, newly sworn-in Attorney General Pam Bondi says she is freezing funds for jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with ICE. Our Kelsey Thorid gives us a look at this brewing legal battle over local law enforcement.
Former FBI Special Agent Jeffrey Harp warns the DOJ's freeze on funding to sanctuary cities like San Francisco could significantly impact local law enforcement.
And those grants are used to buy equipment, to buy things that the law enforcement officers will train, flashlights, boots, shoes, body armor, all that kind of stuff that law enforcement uses to further protect our local citizens.
On Wednesday, the Trump administration's new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, issuing a memo to end funding to all sanctuary jurisdictions that refuse to comply with federal immigration laws. Special Agent Harp says that freeze means millions of dollars are now off the table for local agencies, money they use to help solve crimes.
Our San Jose actually received Bureau of Justice assistance funding in the amount of $2.5 million for rape kits that they like over 900 rape kits. So that's just an example from San Jose.
San Francisco has doubled down on its commitment to remain a sanctuary city. Mayor Lurie alluded to potential legal action to support that stance.
Listen, we're monitoring everything coming out of D.C. This was we were hit with this about 8 years ago. We fought back. We actually won in the courts. And so City Attorney David Chu is working on this as we speak.
City Attorney Chu's office said they will have more to say in the coming days. But experts like Professor Brandon Phillips at Cal State East Bay predict a lawsuit is coming.
Lawsuits are most likely going to be the most effective strategy that cities have available to them. There is, on the part of cities and especially on the part of the states, we do send this revenue to the federal government through taxes and other mechanisms. So, in a sense, we are demanding some of the money that we allocate to the federal government continue to be allocated back to us.
Another potential battle in the courtroom brewing between California and the Trump administration. Special Agent Harp hopes cooler heads prevail.
I think San Francisco and the Department of Justice are going to have to take a step back and think about, what's in the best interest of the community. And sometimes, that's give and take on both sides. As you always say, the old saying about everybody has to meet in the middle to make it work. I think this may go there.
Today, a Massachusetts judge is hearing a lawsuit challenging President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. The administration is also appealing a case in Seattle and suing Illinois officials to enforce ICE detentions. Meantime, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is visiting Guantanamo Bay. That's where President Trump plans to house thousands of migrants. The Trump administration is facing another lawsuit this morning in response to its efforts to put nearly all USAID employees on leave. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
As buildings remain closed, the U.S. Agency for International Development says thousands of employees will be placed on leave effective Friday night. CBS News has confirmed fewer than 300 personnel have been deemed essential of USAID's more than 10,000 staffers.
It's the U.S.'s main humanitarian agency, was created by Congress, can only be closed by an action of Congress.
The group Public Citizen filed a lawsuit on behalf of unions, saying the Trump administration's action is unconstitutional and that the freeze on foreign aid is already taking a toll.
Soup kitchens around the world are shutting down, providing food to desperately poor and hungry people. About 30 clinical trials have been suspended, so people who've been receiving medication are now cut off in the middle of the trial.
Friday, President Trump alleged on social media that the agency has corruption at levels rarely seen before, saying, quote, close it down. Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the acting administrator of USAID, took a more measured tone, saying the U.S. will continue to provide foreign aid, but in a way that furthers the interests of the United States.
The goal of our endeavor has always been to identify programs that work and continue them, and to identify programs that are not aligned with our national interests and identify those and address them.
In a separate legal challenge, a federal judge in Boston has temporarily paused the buyout offer presented to around 2 million federal employees across government. The case will be back in court on Monday. For now, the Trump administration says it's extending the deadline and workers will have until midnight Monday to accept the deferred resignation offer.
40,000 federal workers have already chosen to take the administration's offer to resign. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area. More police on the streets of San Francisco, but they're not responding to calls. My Mayor Daniel Lurie says his latest plan to boost the city's downtown recovery is unlike all the others. Plus, a Bay Area startup helping people navigate the complex maze that is the U.S. immigration system. How they're using AI to make things easier.
I think about it from the perspective of human potential. How many people have to wait so long to find some way to belong?
And they were kidnapped and then mocked by law enforcement, all before the truth came out. Now, the couple behind An American Nightmare speaks out about what happened after that Netflix documentary ended.
drying up as we head into this afternoon's forecast. Still some lingering showers this morning, but it's looking beautiful as we head into this weekend. We're talking about sunshine for both Saturday and Sunday, with clouds returning as we head into early next week, and then more rain in the forecast as early as next Wednesday heading into Thursday. And temperatures are going to cool down significantly at that point too. We're still in the upper 50s and lower 60s today, but as that cold front sweeps throughout the Bay Area heading into mid next week, it'll cool off once again. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center.
A new move to boost public safety from San Francisco's new mayor, Daniel Lurie. The mayor announced the formation of what he's calling the city's hospitality task force. He says this will put more police in some high traffic and high profile parts of the city. The unit will be focusing on preventative policing measures rather than response to rapid radio calls. They will specifically be utilized around Union Square and Moscone Center. These are areas the city has deemed as hospitality zones. But the question is, do things actually feel any different on the ground in those areas these days? Our Wilson Walker went to find out.
And I've been walking around the city. I've been here on a business trip, and for the past few days, I felt very safe coming down here to do my shopping. And I think what shocked me too was the presence of the police. At first I was scared, but then I realized that you've got a lot of high-end stores here, so it does make me feel safer as I'm shopping.
Manette Renfro, in town from Chicago, has no complaints about her visit to San Francisco. As you just heard, she says the police presence that's now a part of Union Square gave her some extra peace of mind, and now there is more on the way.
I am proud to announce the San Francisco Police Department Hospitality Zone Task Force.
Mayor Daniel Lurie says the new task force will expand on the kind of security that has already been deployed in the city's central tourist zone, only it will be stretched out towards south of Market and Civic Center. That comprises an area that's covered by 3 different police districts, so this will be a unified operation, and it's already rolling out ahead of Lunar New Year and the NBA All-Star Weekend.
It's going to continue after that every single day. The Hospitality Zone Task Force will provide residents and visitors with the security they deserve 365 days a year.
And in making the announcement, the mayor and others acknowledged that this is partly an effort to change minds at a time when crime is declining.
But what we know is that it's not enough for us to see the data that crime is dropping. People have to feel safe, and that's about your perception.
And from one visitor's point of view, the perception of San Francisco is already changing.
It's really changed throughout the years. I feel like since I visited probably within the last 5 years, I don't see as many homeless and the drugs in the streets here in the city. So I feel safe.
Because police expect a surge in arrests due to these new enforcement techniques, the San Francisco County Sheriff's Office announced a plan to boost jail capacity. The sheriff says they've reopened 2 formerly shuttered inmate housing units at the county jail in San Bruno. A third is expected to be opened next month. A San Francisco tech startup is developing its own artificial intelligence tool to try and help immigrants around the world. That includes the estimated 10 to 12 million who are living undocumented in the United States. Our Kenny Choi shows us how it could help people navigate the red tape and bureaucracy on the path to them building a better life.
BC Obateru has found his entrepreneurial space in tech. He's building an AI-driven portal that will help other immigrants like himself pursue their dreams.
Everyone can contribute. We just need to give them the information in a way. We need to help them. We need to hold their hand to get them to a place where they can take action. J'habite Nigeria maintenant.
AI advancements allowing users to communicate in their native languages and receive immediate answers to often challenging immigration law questions are streamlining the process. The portal can connect them to immigration attorneys and others, including many who offer pro bono services.
I felt like building Justy Guide, which is in the name, a guide, a guardian. We wanted to build something that can really guide them through this process.
Obateru's journey to America began in Nigeria. He's not a U.S. citizen yet, but he has navigated the intricate maze that can be the immigration system for decades.
In my journey as a F1 student and then H-1B cap to then green card is definitely a big component to why I chose to work on this problem.
Immigration analysts say the backlog of applications for visas, green cards, and citizenship is substantial, with millions of cases pending. Bill Ong-Hing is professor of law and migration studies at the University of San Francisco.
During the Trump administration, the first Trump administration, the paperwork backlog got worse because he insisted that they interview almost anyone who's applying for a visa of any type.
Hing says shifts in immigration policies can dramatically impact wait times, but he also believes platforms like Just a Guide can mitigate lengthy wait times in certain cases if it is able to provide two things.
One, information on exactly what needs to be submitted, but also hooking up people with competent representation that will make sure everything is submitted properly. That can only help.
Obatero believes his portal provides those essentials for speedier outcomes.
I think about it from the perspective of human potential. How many people have to wait so long to find some way to belong?
The young entrepreneur is creating jobs while guiding outsiders on a journey so many only dream of and wait for so long.
In Alameda County, the Board of Supervisors has created a new committee to protect vulnerable communities. Their goals are to protect access to health and social services, as well as to establish a fund to protect programs. Still ahead, it is the Year of the Snake. The countdown is on for the Chinese New Year parade. We get an inside look at the beautiful sculptures bringing the magic of the parade to life.
It's really cool that there's so much hand-built artwork on display.
total. Heading into this afternoon, as this rain comes to an end, we're expected to see close to around 1/4 of an inch all the way over into areas like Oakland and San Francisco. About 1/100 of an inch down into the Santa Clara Valley, and it looks very similar all the way up into Santa Rosa. This is Futurecast showing those light showers continuing to move to the east with those light breezy conditions pushing in from offshore too. That'll taper off just around lunchtime along our shoreline. It'll clear up off into the East Bay closer to around 3, 4, 5 o'clock, because at 5 o'clock, I mean, we're just dry as can be. It'll be a beautiful setup heading into this weekend with sunnier skies for our Saturday and Sunday forecast. And then the rain returns once again as we head into Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We have the midweek system pushing through, and it's actually a cold front. You're going to notice temperatures slowly dipping down into the low 50s, anywhere from the Bay all the way over into our inland spots as early as Wednesday and Thursday. So those cool and cloudy conditions return once again. But in the meantime, heading into this weekend, it lines up perfect. If you want to head up to Tahoe, if you want to stay local, we have beautiful and dry conditions. If you're heading up to Tahoe, still keep the chains with you just in case, but you're really not going to need them. It's going to be a great way to get up there this weekend. And then heading into early next week, those partly cloudy skies return from Monday and Tuesday before the cold front sweeps in, bringing in plenty of showers.
To San Jose now, home to the largest Vietnamese population in the world outside of Vietnam, of course. Right now, preparations are in full swing for the 10th anniversary of the city's Lunar New Year Tet Festival. The celebration kicks off this weekend at East Ridge Mall. There will be 3 days of live music, vibrant performances, lion dance, food, and much more. The festivities today begin at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the most anticipated events is the Chinese New Year Parade in San Francisco. That's happening on February 15th. The floats are elaborately decorated and have a sculpture of the zodiac animal of the year. This year, that is the year of the snake. A Bay Area artist showed me how much detail goes into carving out a snake. Music brings a quiet moment to life in San Francisco's Chinatown. And as local businesses and neighbors get ready for a big moment, the upcoming Chinese New Year Parade, there is another set of hands hard at work to bring the magic of the parade to life. And they belong to Lacey Bryant.
It's really cool that there's so much hand-built artwork on display. And
this is Lacey's 10th year creating sculptures for the floats in the parade.
so every animal is kind of going to teach me something new.
And creating for the year of the snake certainly has.
This one was kind of a challenge because it had to float most of its body up in the air, and so it only touches the float in a couple of spots. So it's kind of a cool sculptural piece, really.
She'll make around a dozen sculptures for the parade.
That'll work.
It'll take her anywhere from a few days to a week to carve each one. Some of them are small, some are not.
Yeah, this particular one is 9 feet this way, 6 feet this way, and 8 feet this way.
Lacey says she loves getting to work on large-scale projects like this.
It's a fun process. It's like there's a puzzle I have to kind of figure out. They get to be big and exciting, and I like that.
And for good reason. San Francisco's Chinese New Year Parade is the biggest parade celebrating the Lunar New Year outside of Asia. Stephanie Muffson owns the Parade Guys, the company that builds the floats.
The amount of manpower and woman power that's going into the design, the fabrication, the installation, the decoration, it's a huge effort by a huge, very talented group of people. There's something that we put so much love and effort into, and just seeing it bring the joy to all the people around is really, really gratifying and rewarding.
That is one of the many reasons Lacey keeps coming back to create.
Oh, it's wonderful to be a part of it. It's such an important event for the city and for the community here.
And come parade time, when she sees people smile when they see her creations.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, there's really nothing like it.
One person proud to do her part to bring a longtime celebration integral to San Francisco to life. San Francisco's annual Chinese New Year Parade will be taking place next Saturday, February 15th. Coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, we sit down with a Bay Area couple thrust into the spotlight after they were falsely accused of faking a kidnapping.
That's a choice you're going through. Am I going to look like a monster? Or if I say, oh, it was an accident, then maybe I'll get some leniency.
Why Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn say police interrogation techniques led to their American nightmare. Plus, nearly 36 speed cameras are coming to San Francisco. We'll introduce you to a mom armed with a radar gun on a mission to make the city's streets safer.
That baby walks to school down on Arguello, and so this is very personal for me.
I'm Max Darrow, and this is The Minute. This morning, convicted killer Nima Momeni refused to appear in court for a hearing to set the date of his sentencing. That date has been set for May 16th and is not expected to change. Back in December, a jury found Momeni guilty of killing Cash App founder Bob Lee. The Safeway in San Francisco's Fillmore neighborhood will close for good today. The retailer has cited ongoing concerns about safety for customers and employees amid persistent shoplifting. Safeway has served the neighborhood for 4 decades. The controversial bike lane on Valencia Street in San Francisco is set to be removed. That will start on Monday. The center lane will be replaced with bike lanes on either side of the road. Many local business owners blamed the lane for driving customers away. The Bay Area's only primetime newscasts, weeknights at 8 and 9 p.m. on PIX Plus, 44 Cable 12.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, the rain is coming to an end as we head into this afternoon, but we're still expecting to see close to around 1/4 of an inch in areas like Oakland and San Francisco, while our friends up in the North Bay get closer to around 1/100 of an inch throughout this afternoon. Now, the flood watch near Marin and Sonoma County will expire this afternoon, but we're still seeing some lingering showers left closer to around 10, 11, 12 o'clock in areas like Mill Valley, all the way over into Oakland and sweeping off into the East Bay near Fremont and Livermore, just into the lunchtime and evening hours tonight. Now, that clears up into the overnight hours tonight, which is great news. We're going to see some dry days ahead of us for both Saturday and Sunday with sunny skies all throughout the Bay Area. But then we head into early next week. Around Monday and Tuesday, clouds start rolling in ahead of our next cold front that's going to sweep in from offshore, bringing in more rain for Wednesday and Thursday, and also dropping our temperatures down a little bit too. So let's head over into the next 7 days. Today, we're mostly just sitting in the upper 50s throughout the Bay Area, anywhere from Santa Rosa into San Francisco, Half Moon Bay, and down into the Santa Clara Valley. Now it's still partly cloudy for us this afternoon, but once we head into Saturday and Sunday, that much needed sunshine returns into the Bay Area just in time for a gorgeous weekend. You head into early next week. Now we're talking about the clouds rolling back in from offshore from Monday and Tuesday, with rain right around the corner for Wednesday. And notice how temperatures drop. I'll pull it up for our inland forecast in just a second. Temperatures drop from the upper 50s and lower 60s down to the low 50s as that cold front approaches as well. So it's going to be cool, it's going to be wet. It'll be a little bit breezy too as those winds sweep in from offshore. We'll continue to keep you updated with those rainfall totals as we get closer to next week's rain system.
To San Francisco now. You may have seen these signs up in the city as you're driving around that new cameras will be installed throughout the city, which will automatically issue tickets to people who are speeding. They come on the heels of an especially deadly year for San Francisco. According to city data, 42 people died in traffic incidents last year. That was the highest number the city has seen in a decade. Traffic safety advocates say speed is the #1 cause of severe and deadly crashes on San Francisco streets. The 33 new speed cameras will go online next month at some of the most dangerous intersections all across the city. The map you're looking at is from the SFMTA, and it shows exactly where those speed cameras will be going up. Our Amanda Harry checked out one of those intersections, Fulton and Arguello, and heard from one mom armed with a radar gun whose mission is to change driving habits.
36, 37, so that person would get a ticket.
Street safety is one of Marta Lindsay's #1 concerns. She works for Walk San Francisco, a nonprofit that tries to make the city streets safer for pedestrians. But she also lives in the inner Richmond, right by the intersection of Arguello Boulevard and Fulton Street, where someone was killed just over a year ago.
I had a close call myself at this very intersection about 10 years ago when I was pregnant, and now that baby walks to school down on Arguello, and so this is very personal for me.
The street will be getting one of 33 new speed cameras. Lindsay says it desperately needs it.
Every day, more than 1,000 drivers are going more than 10 miles an hour above the speed limit on Fulton.
She looked at city data to get that number and bought a speed radar gun to see for herself.
43? Whoa, that person was going fast.
Registered owners of any vehicle going at least 11 miles over the speed limit will receive a ticket in the mail. The fees vary based on speed, $50 for driving 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit, and it goes up incrementally until the max fine, $500 for drivers going 100 miles over the posted limit. Lindsay is confident slowing down can save lives.
If you're hit at 25 miles an hour, your survival rate is pretty good, but by the time a driver is going 40 miles an hour, 75% chance you are very, very injured or probably dead.
Shannon Hake with the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency says these cameras are years in the making.
After 14 years of advocating at the state level, we finally got a speed camera bill passed.
Speed cameras were illegal in California, but in 2023, a bill was passed that allowed a pilot program for 6 California cities to try out speed camera technology for 5 years. SF will be the first to launch the program. They have a campaign that includes billboards like this one in the Richmond to let people know the cameras are coming.
We don't want anyone to get caught by these speed cameras. We want everyone to be aware of them and to start slowing down now.
For the first 60 days of the program, people will get warnings with no fees. After that, they'll have to pay. The city will collect the data and compare it to areas without cameras to see if it makes a difference. Lindsay is convinced it will.
These cameras are going to go in. We're going to see the behavior change on those streets. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to see those crash rates come down, and then it's going to be time to pass more legislation so this program can expand.
A new tool that will hopefully save lives.
Those cameras are expected to be operational by mid-March. Under the state law, San Jose and Oakland are also allowed to install speed cameras. Both of those cities plan to have them up and running later this year. In the South Bay, San Jose State University faces potential legal action by the federal government over the involvement of transgender women in sports. The Department of Education says SJSU is among the schools that it will be investigating for alleged violations of Title IX. This comes after President Trump signed an executive order banning transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. San Jose State's president says his school, in his words, is committed to ensuring that all of our students, including our student athletes, are treated fairly, free from discrimination. Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn. These are names you might recognize. The Vallejo couple was at the center of a 2015 home invasion and kidnapping that Vallejo police and the FBI claimed they made up when they didn't. They gained worldwide notoriety when their story was the focus of Netflix's highest-rated docuseries of last year called American Nightmare. In an exclusive interview with CBS News California Investigates, Huskins and Quinn tell our Julie Watts what happened after that documentary ends.
Investigators falsely accused Denise and Aaron of orchestrating a hoax, faking her own kidnapping. Meanwhile, her kidnapper was out terrorizing other families. Critics blame antiquated interrogation training for their American Nightmare. And now Denise and Aaron are working with law enforcement, using their trauma to retrain officers.
Their story was the subject of last year's most watched Netflix docuseries. A stranger broke into their home while they slept, tied them up, drugged them, and blindfolded them with blacked-out swim goggles, put Denise in the trunk of Aaron's car, then held her for ransom at a Tahoe cabin where he repeatedly raped her.
She's dead.
Meanwhile,
Understand that I've accepted that.
Aaron was here.
At this point, the kidnappers have already called 3 times.
But instead of tracing those calls,
Well, I would have been rescued.
investigators try to convince Aaron to confess to killing Denise, who was very much alive, but in a living hell.
They did not come into your house and kidnap her and take her for ransom.
Detective Mustard thinks he's a human lie detector, and the training that he got makes him believe that's so.
Now Aaron and Denise are using their American Nightmare to help retrain officers.
I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do.
The traditional method of interrogation dates back to the 1940s, developed to replace the use of physical torture.
His primary goal right now is to get a confession.
Interrogators are trained to create a high-pressure environment, often by isolating and lying to the suspect.
I've asked for my family. They tell me they don't know where they are. My family was in the police station. The only truthful thing he said to me is, I don't believe you.
And FBI polygraph expert Special Agent French lied too.
There's no question in my mind that you failed this test.
Then interrogators are taught to minimize the seriousness of the crime.
This was an accident. I know it was an accident.
I can see that she accidentally died.
In this case, Detective Mustard comes up with a story about what he thinks happened.
Whatever happened, happened in that bedroom. It happened in bed.
They ultimately try to make a confession seem like the best option for the suspect.
I promise you, if you're painted that cold, ruthless killer, everything that you're trying to protect is going to be gone.
That's a choice you're going through. Am I going to look like a monster? Or if I say it was an accident, then maybe I'll get some leniency.
And I start figuring out, okay, how do I make it so you look like a monster?
Nobody who did this to them has been held accountable.
Do we discipline him for doing something that he was trained to do?
El Dorado County District Attorney Vern Pearson wants to change the way investigators are trained.
I know he was trained to do that.
Pearson says while traditional interrogations do work, they can work too well. Nationwide, nearly a third of all wrongful convictions later exonerated by DNA have been linked to a false confession.
There is a problem, but there is also a solution. Train detectives to use a more effective methodology that's also ethical.
That methodology is called science-based interviewing, and studies show it is more effective than traditional confession-driven interrogations.
I'm going to go tell them that
like Aaron's.
I'm not looking for alive Denise. I'm looking for dead Denise.
He has no evidence to support that conclusion. That is part of the training.
And under science-based interviewing, what would he be saying?
Instead of talking, he would have Aaron talking.
Pearson explains the goal of a science-based interview is to get detailed information instead of focusing on a confession.
Take a detailed statement and you compare that to other known facts.
Science-based interviews build a rapport with the suspect, focused on communication instead of on control.
I don't want you to say a word, okay? I need you to listen to me.
He'll stop my denials. He won't let me speak.
And science-based interviews focus on open-ended questions instead of presuming guilt.
She's dead.
Like this.
The only other explanation here is that she wanted to be gone and you're helping her be gone.
And that's the story investigators ended up telling the world, calling the kidnapping a hoax when the kidnapper finally released Denise.
It is Mr. Quinn and Ms. Huskins that owes this community an apology.
It wasn't until Mueller struck again that Detective Misty Caruso, investigating her very first case, found the evidence that proved Denise and Aaron were telling the truth.
They could have prevented two other families from being attacked.
Evidence that veteran investigators and FBI special agents missed.
That is a problem with the training, is it leads to this guilt presumptive assumptions, leads towards confirmation bias.
Evidence that finally led to Mueller's conviction.
The Vallejo Police Department owes an apology to Ms. Huskins and Mr. Quinn.
Neither the FBI nor Vallejo PD provided a response for this story, but science-based interviewing is now the standard new training method in California. Governor Newsom vetoed a bill a couple of years ago that would have required all officers, including veterans, are retrained on this approach. Pearson wants to bring that bill back with Denise and Aaron by his side.
And to see our continuing coverage, including an interactive timeline where Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn take us through Mueller's crimes that they helped solve, head to KPIX.com, scroll down to the CBS News California Investigates section. Coming up next, it's worse for the environment than carbon dioxide, but a new method for taming methane promises to be a potential solution to global warming. We'll break it down in today's Project Earth Report.
We're drying up as we head into this afternoon's forecast. Still some lingering showers this morning, but it's looking beautiful as we head into this weekend. We're talking about sunshine for both Saturday and Sunday, with clouds returning as we head into early next week, and then more rain in the forecast as early as next Wednesday heading into Thursday. And temperatures are going to cool down significantly at that point too. We're still in the upper 50s and lower 60s today, but as that cold front sweeps throughout the Bay Area heading into mid next week, it'll cool off once again. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center.
Scientists say cutting methane emissions is key to curbing the impacts of climate change, but some big industries are having trouble reducing their production of the harmful greenhouse gas. Well, now one British company says it may have the answer. CBS News reporter Tina Kraus explains in today's Project Earth.
Methane is a menace to the planet, an invisible gas scientists say warms Earth much faster than carbon dioxide.
It comes from landfill sites, from sewage treatment facilities, from farms, and from oil and gas operations and pipelines.
A British tech company set out to tackle this climate change challenge by giving methane a makeover.
The magic happens in here.
The magic happens in here.
Levidian Chief Executive John Hartley says this patented loop system uses microwave energy to split methane molecules, capturing hydrogen for clean fuel and carbon in the form of graphene, the world's thinnest and strongest material.
So this is a cube of graphene that we've extracted from methane gas.
A self-described graphene geek.
It's such an exciting time to be involved in graphene. It's awesome.
Dr. Ellie Galanis and her team are busy using it to boost the durability of everyday products.
So when you put graphene into the tire tread, you can make it stronger, you can make it last longer, and you can make it more fuel efficient.
Scientists also tried it in concrete.
Without graphene, it tends to crumble a lot more easily, but with graphene, it's much stronger.
And they're adding it to medical gloves.
You know, when surgeons do the snap test, they're trying to check if it will break, and that doesn't happen when you add graphene in. It makes them much stronger and more puncture resistant.
Researchers in England only discovered graphene 20 years ago, and Levidian sees years of growth ahead for its potential applications.
The clothes that you wear might have graphene in them so that they're more sustainable.
Engineers say it feels good knowing a little bit of black can help create a greener future.
For more Project Earth stories just like this one, head to our website, kpix.com. As we celebrate Black History Month, we head to Oakland, where one woman has dedicated over 50 years to preserving and celebrating African American culture through the power of dance. Deborah Vaughn is the founder of Dimensions Dance Theater. For more than 5 decades, she has been enriching the lives of young people by introducing them to the joy of dance. Deborah incorporates traditional and contemporary styles. From her travels to Africa, she brings back new connections between dances there and those here in the United States. Her Rites of Passage program provides free or low-cost dance lessons for hundreds of young people every year. Through dance, Deborah gives both performers and audiences a new pride in their culture and in themselves.
I have seen how art has helped people while they're on their own path, for people to discover who they are as people and what they can contribute.
Dimensions Dance Theater also formed a nonprofit with 9 other arts programs called the Malanga Arts Collective, which promotes the arts in our communities. See Deborah's full story tonight at 5 on our evening edition on KPIX. We're also highlighting an Oakland event that's using music to bring a community together on one drum beat at a time. The event is called Beats and Bonding, and community leader Kiazi Malanga tells us the event helps uplift fathers in the community through music, connection, and nourishment.
This drum is called the ngoma, and this is the first telephone. This is a communication tool. And so music, as we all know, brings people together. It is also a healing instrument. That is a very ancient instrument. So this is an instrument that I speak through, and I feel like 100% will be the heartbeat of this conversation and this movement.
The Beats and Bonding event is this Sunday at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Calabash in Oakland. Tickets are $25. And we invite you to join us as we honor the achievements, contributions, and rich legacy of the Bay Area's Black community. You can watch our special presentation on Thursday, February 20th. It airs at 7:30 p.m. right here on CBS News Bay Area. Coming up, the stage is set for the Super Bowl this Sunday in New Orleans. When we come back, we'll take you behind the scenes of the big game.
In total, heading into this afternoon as this rain comes to an end, we're expected to see close to around 1/4 of an inch all the way over into areas like Oakland and San Francisco. About 1/100 of an inch down into the Santa Clara Valley, and it looks very similar all the way up into Santa Rosa. This is Futurecast showing those light showers continuing to move to the east with those light breezy conditions pushing in from offshore too. That'll taper off just around lunchtime along our shoreline. It'll clear up off into the East Bay closer to around 3, 4, 5 o'clock, because at 5 o'clock, I mean, we're just dry as can be. It'll be a beautiful setup heading into this weekend with sunnier skies for our Saturday and Sunday forecast. And then the rain returns once again as we head into Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We have the midweek system pushing through, and it's actually a cold front. You're going to notice temperatures slowly dipping down into the low 50s, anywhere from the bay all the way over into our inland spots as early as Wednesday and Thursday. So those cool and cloudy conditions return once again. But in the meantime, heading into this weekend, it lines up perfect. If you want to head up to Tahoe, if you want to stay local, we have beautiful and dry conditions. If you're heading up to Tahoe, still keep the chains with you just in case, but you're really not going to need them. It's going to be a great way to get up there this weekend. And then heading into early next week, those partly cloudy skies return from Monday and Tuesday before the cold front sweeps in, bringing in plenty of showers.
This Sunday is the Super Bowl, and the Kansas City Chiefs will be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Football fans are soaking up the NFL experience in one of America's most iconic cities. From Bourbon Street to championship parties, New Orleans is buzzing right now with Super Bowl festivities. CBS's Danya Bacchus has more from the heart of the city.
For most visitors, New Orleans means Mardi Gras and Bourbon Street. This week, the whole city is putting its best foot forward for Super Bowl fans.
I love this city, and it always, there's always new things that surprise me.
Wayne Quito lives in Hawaii. He's been following the Kansas City Chiefs around the country since they won the AFC title. Now he's headed to the big game.
For any sports fan that loves traveling, this is a city that, you don't have to tell me twice.
I don't know what the score might be. Eagles 1 and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift 0.
This Eagles fan from Denver traveled with friends to their 9th Super Bowl city.
We actually plan way in advance, so we are very prepared. We know what to do. The minute we leave here, we're ready for the next venue.
Fans aren't just excited about the big game. They're also looking forward to getting a little taste of what New Orleans has to offer.
I'm just excited to try all.
I got beignets and coffee, and po' boys is my addiction. Oyster po' boys.
You can eat your way through New Orleans.
Yes, I couldn't live here.
Fans also can take in the NFL experience, like an interactive football museum, where they can see the Lombardi Trophy, hobnob with some NFL greats, and see artifacts from their favorite teams.
On Monday, I'll be able to order my next one.
This Chiefs fan already has plans for his next Super Bowl ring. Regardless of the game's outcome, many are just happy to be in the Big Easy to follow their favorite team and keep the rivalry going.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
The Chiefs are hoping to become the first team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls as they take on the Eagles. This morning, I spoke with 95.7 The Game host Mark Willard to break down Sunday's big game. Who do you think's going to win this game? And I got to ask, is there a bit of Chiefs fatigue among the country right now?
A bit. There's a lot of Chiefs fatigue. But I tell you what, Max, and good morning. I've learned this, as all of us have. Some slower than others over the last couple of years. When the Chiefs play football, they usually win. So, and good morning to my dog. Sorry about that. But I'll tell you what, this is supposed to be a very evenly matched football game. And, a lot are expecting that it'll look a lot like it did a couple of years ago when these two teams played, and they played right down to the end, and it was very, very close. But the Chiefs have that experience. They've got Patrick Mahomes. We know how this story ends, I think, at least, right?
Yeah, love him or hate him, no matter what. It's cool to see the two arguably best teams in football duking it out in the Super Bowl. So that's always exciting.
I can't lie, I trust you, I love you, I will waste your time, I turn it off just so I can tell you.
Fresh off his 5 Grammy wins Sunday, Kendrick Lamar is getting ready for the Super Bowl halftime show alongside SZA. The rapper let fans know what to expect from his performance in the Big Easy, telling them they should expect to see storytelling.
I like to always carry on that sense of, make people listen, but also see and think a little. This is a true art form. So to represent it on this type of stage, it's like everything that I've worked for and everything that I believe in as far as the culture.
Lamar has some halftime show experience, joining the Legends of Hip Hop lineup 3 years ago, but he'll be the first solo rap act to headline the show. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Max Darrow. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories.